Hey guys, thanks for clicking on this video. In this video, I wanted to give you my impression of the 2025 Kawasaki KX250X and KX250. I have just reached 10 hours on both bikes, so I have a good feel for their strengths and weaknesses. And so I want to share with you the 5 things that I both love and hate about these bikes. To lay some groundwork, when I brought these bikes home from the dealership, I stripped them completely down to the frame. I sent the suspension off to get resprung and revalved, and I added a full Pro Circuit stainless exhaust system, a twin air power flow intake, and a Vortex ECU tuned by Tokyo Mods. In addition, the bikes got some gearing changes, both got skid plates, and the X got radiator braces, a bigger gas tank, and some handguards. So that being said, I haven't ridden these bikes in their stock format. I've only ridden them as they sit now, but I still have a good sense of what they are good at and what they're not so good at. So let's get into it.
So the first thing that I love about these bikes is the handling. The chassis, the suspension, the geometry of the bike, all works really well together to create a stable, balanced platform that turns well and inspires confidence in the rider. It's really been a pleasure to ride these bikes. They are just fun. They're straight up fun bikes to ride. So the second thing I love about these bikes is the power. Again, I have a full Pro Circuit exhaust system on both bikes, as well as the twin air power flow intake with a Vortex ECU. And with those mods, these bikes are very, very playful. They have a lot of bottom end, plenty of top end. I can roll through a corner in third gear, clutch it up, and these things will just take off and clear any obstacle. I have not found myself wanting any more power for someone who's a vet intermediate rider, 175 pounds. These bikes do it all. The third thing I really like about these bikes is the ergonomics. The stock handlebar bend is really comfortable. The levers, everything feels good up top. Also, you have the ability to move the bars forward, and you have the ability to move the foot pegs down 5 millimeters. As someone who's 6 foot, I move the bars into the forward position and flip the mounts facing backwards. So it's the third furthest position forward, as well as move the foot pegs down 5 millimeters. That combined with the flat seat has really made these bikes comfortable to ride. I can be back on the bike attacking obstacles, or I can very easily get my butt up front for cornering. So very, very happy with the ergonomics of these. The fourth thing that I love about these bikes is the price. Both of these were advertised for $59.99, and after everything was all said and done, I paid $6,033 for each bike out the door. It's hard to beat for a full modern motocross bike for that cheap, and that leaves you plenty of money to go and do the mods, like buy the Pro Circuit exhaust, buy the intake, buy the ECU, get your suspension set up. All of that is achievable when you have such a low base starting price. So the fifth thing that I really like about these bikes is the Kawasaki Contingency program. They offer contingency to all different classes and many different motocross and off-road race series, some of which I do. And those ones weren't supported by Honda or Yamaha. KTM supports them, and Kawasaki this year in 2026 is on par with them. It's $150 for first place, $100 for second place, and $50 for third place. Last year in 2025, it was actually double that, and they were beating KTM. But all in all, it's great to be able to go to a race that I'm going to go to anyways, and if I podium, I can pay for my race fees and maybe the whole day, depending on how well I do.
Here are the 5 things I hate about my 2025 Kawasaki.
First thing I really do not like about these Kawasaki's is how hard it is to keep the plastics and the seat cover clean. I don't know if it'll pick it up too much on the GoPro, but I've scrubbed and scrubbed and scrubbed to try to get these clean, and they look okay, but it is by far the hardest color of plastic to keep clean from boot marks and your pants rubbing. It's really difficult. And this lime green shows stress marks super easily. So that's one thing I really don't like about these bikes, is how hard it is to keep the plastic clean and the seat cover. The second thing I don't like about these bikes is how weak the fork seals are. I've actually blown out the fork seals on that bike and this bike. I just noticed this one a little bit ago, and that has to do primarily with riding some of the winter tracks in the Pacific Northwest that are a mixture of sand and volcanic ash. It's really hard on the seals. And to be clear, this isn't a factory connection workmanship issue. I thought it was at first, but it turns out they didn't pull the fork tubes apart when they did my suspension because it had 0 hours on it. So really, it is the standard show us stuff as Kawasaki gets it. I will say though, factory connection did make it right with me, even though it wasn't their problem to fix. They treated it as so to make sure that me as a customer was happy. And so here is the fourth thing that I really don't like about these bikes, and that has to do with the bolts and the threads. So I'm not sure what Kawasaki was thinking, but I think they use a really loose tap when they tap all these holes, and the bolts fit very loose. And while that may be good for manufacturing, it's really not good for threading bolts in and out of consistently, especially on a part like a skid plate where I'm taking it on and off each time I wash the bike. It's really easy to cross thread these, especially going into the aluminum pieces. If I'm not directly straight in line with it, I can really easily cross thread and rip out the threads. So far I've been lucky, but it is a concern of mine. The fourth thing I hate about this bike is this monstrosity of a kickstand. It is ugly, it hangs out, and the worst part about it is if you get your boot kicked back, it can really, really easily catch your boot. And so when you're riding down the track or the trail and your boot's stuck up here, it's very uncomfortable and quite frankly, pretty dangerous. So that is something I really do not like about the KX250X. And when I get new bikes, I will likely just get 2 of the KX250s and buy an 18-inch rear wheel for one of them. So the fifth thing that I really do not like about these bikes, and this might just be a me problem, but every time I fall down, even if I'm going really slow in a corner, it seems like my forks get twisted in the triple clamp. I don't know why, it's been worse than any other bike I've ever owned. And it's really annoying to pick your bike up and realize that your bars are pointing one way and your front wheel is pointing another. I'm using the proper torque specs and everything. So if you guys have an idea of what I'm doing wrong, comment below. I don't know. All right guys, thanks for watching my video on the 5 things I love and hate about my 2025 KX250X and KX250. If you guys have any questions or want to clarify anything, just feel free to drop me a comment below. I'm happy to answer them. I actually like talking to people about bikes, so yeah, feel free to do that, and thanks for watching.